Get ready for the most legendary clashes where tempers flare, egos collided, and poker players lost their minds. From heated arguments to full-blown meltdowns, we're recapping the most memorable fights ever witnessed in the poker world. Strap in, because when poker players go to war with each other, they play for keeps. Pick any stakes heads up. When big poker egos clash, there are sure to be fireworks. In our first clip, Tom Dwan is playing a heads-up championship against Phil Hellmuth. Phil, never one to shy away from a little table talk, goes on one of his usual tirades. And this time, Tom isn't going to just sit there and be insulted. The tension builds, and you can feel the electricity in the air as the players are all in before the flop.
Here comes the flop. No more back.
An early elimination hand and the flop. Deuce, king, 7 with a couple of spades.
No help for Tom.
So far, so good for Phil Hellmuth.
Phil has the lone spade in their hand and the best hand with the aces.
And the turn.
And it's a 10!
Huge suck out.
It's not over yet, man.
Tom definitely enjoys seeing the 10 on the turn, but realizes the hand is never over until it's over.
Or any spade but the king.
It's not looking good, though.
Here is the river.
3 of spades?
The river's a 9 of diamonds, and Tom Dwan has eliminated Phil Hellmuth.
When you look up bad beat in the dictionary, that's what you'll find.
At this point in his poker career, Tom has clearly had enough of Phil acting like the poker brat.
They're counting the chips just to make it official.
Son, I would tell you this much, son. I would never have put more 3,000 with 2 10s before.
Oh, here we
I
go.
was going to say good game, sorry for the suck out, but...
The frustration is evident on Dwan's face as he shrugs and rolls his eyes.
when you phrase it
I'm
that
just
way,
telling
it
the
makes me
truth,
not
man.
wanna.
Here, take 10,000 each.
Phil,
and I
that's
think
why you lose money online, like...
You played
sorry,
the hand
nice
bad,
hand.
that's the truth. You
Okay,
put in
pick your stakes,
20,000 with 2
heads up.
10s.
Pick your stakes heads up. I've said it a million times.
Tom repeats, pick your stakes heads up, indicating he will gamble with Phil for any amount of money. He is clearly visually agitated by Phil's antics. Tom insists Phil put his money where his mouth is, challenging him to back up his trash talk. The whole scene is a little awkward, to say the least. He doesn't deserve your applause. All of our battles today are fueled by emotion and anger, but this next one takes things to a whole new level of cruelty. Tony G, known for his aggressive table talk, crosses a line in this clip when his trash talking goes too far. The taunts become personal, and what starts as typical banter quickly spirals into something much more cutting. It's a moment that leaves the table and the audience stunned.
Seeing those 3 guys on one side of the table and Tony G on the other.
I call. I want to play with him. I got a weak hand, though. I'm still calling if you raise, unless you go all in. I might still call if you go all in. How much
Ralph
have you
Perry
got?
might raise here. He's got King Jack offsuit.
How much more? 80 more? I'm calling.
Tony G's telling Ralph Perry how much to raise.
How much more do you want to make it? Just tell me. Can you put the clock? What is this?
Things are heating up quickly, and Tony G isn't going to back down.
You seriously call for the clock here. It's gotten out of fun and games here. And Ralph Perry's going to raise 120,000.
120 more. How much more has he got? I'm all in. All in. You wanna do this? Do this properly. Yeah. What do you think I am? I'm here to give my chips away to you.
Now, in this instance, Tony G's playing brilliantly.
Tony makes a good play and gets the player to call all in with king high. We've seen plenty of harsh words exchanged at the poker table, but things are about to get much more personal.
Which school have you been to?
How close is those?
Ralph
What is
Perry
this?
looks like Mike Tyson after Buster Douglas got through with him. Tony G could single-handedly reignite the Cold War.
But you colored like a baby. Up and away. Up and away. Come on. On your bike. On your bike.
Despite the assault, Ralph Perry taking the high road.
He's in shock.
Now, he doesn't deserve any applause.
The remark, "don't applaud, he doesn't deserve it," takes things to a whole new level of cruelty. The player has already been knocked out and is walking away defeated, making this heckle feel not only unnecessary, but downright mean-spirited. At this point, there's no psychological edge to be gained. It's not about strategy anymore. It's just a cold insult. In poker or any sport, there's a difference between competition and cruelty. Airball. Sometimes it's just not your day. And in the next clip, we see exactly that as Tony G faces off against Nick Airball at the Hustler Casino Live. This battle is about more than just chips. It's a showdown between two larger-than-life personalities. As Tony G tries to impose his will on the table, Nick Airball counters and relentlessly needles. Certainly a tactic Tony G is accustomed to.
Airball's gonna raise it up. Some deep stack poker here, folks. Tony G makes the call. Queens gets out of the way, and we're at 465,000.
Your dream come true.
The needling and heckling are all part of the game for these two, but things are about to get much more intense.
And the turn's a 6! And Nick Airball with the stone cold nuts. It's gonna go 225 here.
Tony seems to sense that he could be beat. He certainly thinks about Nick Airball's bet for some time.
We've seen Tony G make some huge laydowns in this game the last couple days. And he lays it down.
Fucking stinks.
Wow.
Impressively, Tony G throws away aces, but he's definitely tilted.
And of course, Airball has to
Folded
show.
aces. Stinks. That's like a setup hand. That's like unbelievable. That's just not normal. I folded aces. That's like sick. Okay. I quit. I pay.
Tony says he's done, which to be fair is perfectly normal in a cash game. However, this is a live stream, and it doesn't take long for the insults to start flying.
I quit. It's okay. I quit. I pay. On your bike! On your bike, Tony! You and your...
Tony G walks away from the table after the brutal hand, and Nick Airball wastes no time rubbing salt in the wound with Tony's signature catchphrase, "Get on your bike!"
Your aces! Back to Santa Monica!
Mind games are just as important as the cards you hold. It's the kind of poker clash that keeps audiences tuning in. You aren't better than Phil Ivey at anything. We've all heard of tough love, but in our next clip, Daniel Negreanu takes it to a whole new level as he puts Phil Hellmuth firmly in his place. Known for his emotional outbursts, Hellmuth is no stranger to confrontations at the poker table, but this time he's met his match with Negreanu's cool and straightforward approach.
Like, well, whoever wins the most money, then I just went out and won all this money. And they're like, oh yeah, but now you're not playing against the best to win the money. Like, I mean, Daniel's like such a politician. He changes the goalposts and changes and changes and changes. And
I think you're going to be up against that forever, Phil.
Yep, agree.
5.
I didn't expect it from Daniel.
It's lonely at the top, isn't it?
Didn't expect it from Daniel, though.
Negreanu delivers a verbal lesson, keeping his composure while suddenly exposing the poker brat's ego. It's an expert display of how to put someone on tilt and win with psychological warfare.
You want me to tell you I think you're better than Phil Ivey at something? What? What do I think you're better than Phil Ivey at? Like, name it. I don't know. What am I supposed to give you here?
I'm not better.
Bingo.
Promoting yourself.
I'm not better at Texas Hold'em than Phil Ivey?
No, you're not better at Texas Hold'em than Phil Ivey.
You want to bet on what he would say? 'Cause
Oh,
I already
he would-
hear
Ouch! Daniel Negreanu doesn't hold back as he cuts Phil Hellmuth down to size, delivering a harsh but brutally honest critique. Hellmuth, known for boasting about his poker accomplishments and claiming he might be the greatest of all time, starts his usual self-praise when Negreanu decides he's heard this speech one too many times.
I already know what Phil would say. He's like, oh no, Phil Hellmuth's the best because he doesn't care like you do, right?
He doesn't care.
He's not going to say something like to, boost his ego or whatever. He doesn't give a what people think really in that regard.
So his opinion doesn't matter.
Well, his opinion on who's better, he's going to say you because he wants action. He's a hustler, old school.
You hit
know what I'm
it.
saying?
You hit it.
Ivy.
You have to love it when poker pros speculate on what other poker pros think. Poker egos can be just as fragile as bankrolls, and Negreanu isn't afraid to dish out some tough reality when the poker brat gets a little too full of himself. Maury, are you gonna give penalties for this or what? In our next clip, Phil Hellmuth fully embraces his poker brat persona and takes it to the extreme. Frustrated by the table chatter, Hellmuth calls a floor, demanding penalties for players, not for discussing the hand, but simply for talking. It's an over-the-top move that showcases Hellmuth's infamous temper and desire to control the game on his terms.
Up for Phil.
Hey, man.
Sean, would you please mind this time? Please be quiet.
Yeah.
So 4,000 more, huh?
Please be quiet so I can talk.
Is this the way it's going to be every tournament out here?
It's a classic Hellmuth moment where the drama he creates overshadows the actual poker being played. Of course, Hellmuth refuses to let it go, and the spectacle gets even more unprofessional as Phil calls over the producer to talk about players laughing and talking at the table.
Because, I played poker for 20 years and never has someone just blatantly talked as much as this when I have a key decision. It's ridiculous.
I haven't said a word, Phil. What are you talking
Maury,
about?
is this the way it's going to be?
Maury Escandani is one of the executive producers of Poker After Dark.
Because you know what? I might not play in another one if it's going to be like this, all right? You understand?
Hellmuth seems determined to enforce his own brand of table etiquette and threatens to not come back to the show.
I'm trying to make a tough decision for all my chips. I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with it, and I've got him talking and him talking, and everybody's joking and laughing.
People are laughing. It's horrible.
People are having fun.
What do you think?
It's terrible.
You think I'm kidding, huh?
No, I don't think you're kidding.
Good, because I'm not kidding.
So
what penalties can we put in place so that when a man has a study for all his chips, people can shut up?
just ask me.
I'm not upset. I might sound upset. I'm not upset.
Guys, give me a little look, that's all. Just ask me a little
I did that.
You gotta love the producer Maury's handling of the situation. What penalties should they get for talking? Maybe if you just asked them nicely, they would stop talking.
They do.
I said please.
They'll do it.
I mean, I didn't hear the please word, but if you say please, I won't say a word.
No, Maury, I want to know what you have in place for next time.
Gus Hansen chimes in. If you say please, I won't say a word. Just another prime example of Hellmuth making a poker show about him and not poker. Thanks for watching, and to stay up to date with the latest poker controversies, legendary stories, and biggest fails, make sure to like and subscribe.